Kelly Miller and myself here are starting today with Kiva Leatherman for the Work at Home Moms Strategy Hour. We're thrilled to have you joining us today. Kelly, will you tell us a little bit about what we're going to talk about today with Kiva? And all right, putting Kelly on the spot. All right. I'm sorry, I'll pull out there. I've taken off my, I don't even have my lighting on yet today. Let me get some lighting on here. I'm all dark. All right, forget, I won't put Kelly on the spot. I'll tell you what we're talking about today. All right, well, today we are chatting with Kiva Leatherman, and we want to talk about how women, we have a lot of special opportunities to bring our roles as mothers into our businesses, and there's lots of different ways as bloggers that we find we can sort of merge our work life and our home life, but there's other businesses as well. And so we've brought Kiva on here because she has created a very unique opportunity where parents can merge their home lives and their work lives. So we're going to talk specifically about hers, but we're also going to talk in general too about other ways to let your parenting enhance your business. And so, Kelly, why don't you briefly first introduce yourself, remind everyone who you are and what this WOM Strategy Hour is about, and then we're going to let Kiva introduce herself more. And I'm going to close my door behind me here, just one moment.
And you have you in the big box.
All right, I've got you there. There you go. You're all right now. Oops.
Hi, guys. It's Kelly at 3boysandadog.com. So, Susan and I decided that, as moms who work at home, we're usually stuck in the office with no adult interaction, with no, drive to and from work to give us that few minutes to decompress. And so we decided to come up with this every other week Work at Home Mom Strategy Hour, where we get to visit with other women, where we get to just kind of relax, but we also get to talk about how to make things work in our business and how to make our businesses bigger and better to provide.
Oh no, yikes, we just lost Kelly. I've never had that happen before. Kelly disappeared on us. Okay, well, I hope I didn't do anything there. I
still see you.
Did I toss her out? I don't know what happened there. All right, well, I'm sure Kelly will be back with us in a second. Kelly is actually the expert with these Google Hangouts, so if there's a technical thing that went wrong there, I'm sure she'll jump right back in. I really hope that there was nothing that I did that tossed her. I don't think it could have been what I did. Anyway, all right, well, we will continue then while we wait for Kelly to come back here. So, Kiva, tell us a little bit about your business opportunity that you have created.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I would say I'll get to the business in just a second, but one of the things that drives me the most and that I'm the most passionate about is inspiring women to really create something powerful for themselves in their life. And be great moms, right? Like this idea that because of technology, because of the connectedness that is here today, like it's never been before, we can have amazing businesses while parenting in a way that feels connected and feels like what we want. So I'm super excited that you guys have created this space for more and more women to consider what that might look like for them. And just quickly, so our business is called the Jai Institute for Parenting. It's my second business. It's eclipsed the first, and so it's what I do full-time, well, in my 20 hours a week that I devote to work, that kind of full-time now. And our mission is to change the way that parenting is done around the world by certifying parenting coaches. And we've now certified over 60 coaches in all over the world, in Africa and Ireland, Australia. We just had a woman join us from Perth, Australia, so it's very exciting and, more importantly, I think, very purposeful and important work that needs to be done in the world that not only helps your clients, but really impacts your own parenting as well.
Excellent. Yeah, and yes, Kelly, you did disappear.
Hi, Kelly.
We're so glad to have you back.
Talking.
What could have happened?
I don't know. Who knows? Google
like, I don't think I did anything to toss you, but it was like all of a sudden you just disappeared. Google is really
talking too, and I'm like,
oh, and you didn't even know. And you didn't even know you were gone.
No.
I've done that on the phone.
I do that on the phone all the time.
Oh, that's crazy. All righty. Okay, well, yeah, so Kiva was just telling us a little bit about the Jai Institute of Parenting, which is a business that she and her partner created that is super unique. And when I was chatting with Kiva on the phone about it, I thought this would be a great opportunity for us to have Kiva share with us during this WOM strategy hour and talk, like I said, with some specifics about her business, but also we can talk in general as well about the different ways that we as mothers have special skills, special experiences, special opportunities to enhance our businesses and empower our businesses with our skills. And so in our little outline here that I said let's first talk about why mothers make great business owners. And I think that I really truly believe that it's true that mothers, we do. I think that it's interesting, women in general have fabulous proven track record within business. And one of my favorite examples of how women have special skills is in Africa. You know, do you guys know about how in Africa with the micro financing projects, how they specifically will finance women in business instead of men? Because when they finance the women, the money goes into the community and it builds up and it helps more than just the one woman. You know, and if you give the money to the man in Africa, when they prove it over and over and over, it does not have the same positive effects. And I think that's a really great illustration of how women have the natural abilities to bring together community and the natural just love for community and for others, you know. And I think we see that. I see that so much when I work with women here online in the blogging business. You know, it's interesting how technically we're competitors. Lots of us as bloggers. I mean, technically Kelly is my competitor. Technically, you know, all the friends that Janice is out with, you know, Janice was just at Blog Her, okay? All these women that she's meeting with. Technically, in lots of times, we are sort of competitors. But we're way more collaborators than we are competitors. You know, and I think that that's a really, really nice example of how women will pull together and work together, and I think it's a unique thing. Women, I mean, men obviously do as well, but I think women do specifically. How do you guys feel about that, or do girls feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think, you know, it's really there's this interesting shift happening, and I know many of you have probably read the statistics that women are starting businesses at 3 times the rate of men. They're starting more micro businesses. You know, a lot of us don't necessarily want to build empires. We want to build something that fuels our passion, that allows us to bring meaningful income into our family and gives us the flexibility and freedom to be with our kids. You know, if I think about going back to a job and having like 3 weeks of vacation and needing to be there between 9, I don't know how people do that. I think that you know, is a model that is increasingly unattractive to women. And when you sort of accept that if you take personal responsibility, that you can have all of this, you can have those 3 things that I just said, it's a really attractive option for more and more women. And I think that's why you're seeing the blogging community exploding. That's why you're seeing women-owned businesses exploding, is because we want to own our lives and do work that feels good and that we get paid really, really well to do.
It's true. And Kelly, I'm sure you have had the same experiences, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And I think going back to your little Africa thing, I think the reason is because whether we are moms or not, as women, we are mothers. We mother people. We mother the community. We mother our kids. We can make our kids get along just like we can make the community get along. We make them share just like we would make the community share. So, yeah, I agree.
That's a beautiful point.
Exactly. There's the sisterhood there as well. Yeah, the sisterhood and how we we will take even, yeah, if you take a woman that doesn't have kids of her own, she still has those innate mothering and community building, community fostering skills. Exactly. And so there's different types of businesses that work really, really well for mothers. Now, obviously, women, any girl can do anything any man can do. We know that, obviously, and do it better, right? Isn't that what we say in the playgrounds?
What's that song? Anything you can do, I can do better.
Exactly. So, absolutely. And so all power to the, CEOs that are leaning in, good old Cheryl from Facebook. I'm all for that. Absolutely, women can do anything. I love to see way more women in politics. Obviously, lots of women don't like to go into politics because it's a crappy world, but I'd love to see more women in it so that they turn it out of being such a crappy world. But so women obviously can do everything. That's no question. There's no question there. But what I'd like to point out here and talk about is some of the things that we as mothers, some businesses that work extra well. And so obviously Kelly and I talk a lot here about blogging because that's what we both do. And blogging, as we know, naturally lends itself. And one of my favorite examples of seeing blogging merge so well with family life is Kelly's partner, Crystal. She does a lot with meal planning. She's written a book on meal planning, and she does a lot of blogging about meal planning. I love that example, how women are turning meal planning and other homemaking skills that they have into books and into resources and actually deriving business from that. So those kinds of examples that are fabulous. Another example is actually in the photography world. So Janice, my twin sister and co-blogger at 5 Minutes for Mom, she's starting up her own local photography business because she's discovered in taking photos of her own children that she has a really great talent for getting kids to interact and smile with the camera, and she's really, really good at it. And so, she was like, well, hey, I love taking pictures of kids. I can't take pictures of my own kids all the time, so I should take pictures of other people's kids. And that's sort of a natural niche that she discovered through being a mother. Had she never been taking pictures of her own kids, she wouldn't have discovered that she's very talented at getting kids to smile and interact on camera. So I think that's another example. And so that's sort of an area that we might not think of. You might not think, oh, motherhood, photography, why do those sort of work? But there's those kinds of little things. And so I really want to encourage women to think of stuff that they're doing in their home life and how that can tweak over into a business. Now, before we get into yours, Kiva, Kelly, can you share any thoughts or insights onto any examples like that you've seen?
Okay, so we did the whole Crystal thing and the meal planning, and we did photography. But I've seen, and I can't come up with it off the top of my head, but I've seen women who have had to bring their families back from, bankruptcy to now they're multimillionaires, and they've turned that into financial consultations and things like that to help other people. There's obviously the weight loss people, the skinny chick who turned all these recipes into lower calorie, healthier things, and then she started selling the cookbooks for them. So she took well-known recipes and made them less fatty, and that's where and that was for herself and for her family. Those are just...
Yeah, that's a great example. The weight loss, in the weight loss world, losing your own pregnancy weight and then showing other women how you've done that, or how you feed your family healthy food, all these different things, and being able to combine that with the business. There's so many different ways. Now, Kiva, when I chatted with Kiva, I was like, oh my goodness, this is fabulous. And we've actually decided to become affiliates with Kiva's program because I'm so sincerely impressed with it. I had talked a little bit before about how my first introduction into working at home was in the direct sales world. And so I learned a little bit about network marketing and what that's all about, and the pros and the cons and the challenges and the successes of what that's about. Now, one of the things I just loved about Kiva's model is that it has some of the benefits of having a business where you've got the kinks kind of worked out for you, where there's a business model that you can follow in, but it's not direct sales, it's not multi-level, it's a totally different business, and it combines parenting. So I'm going to let Kiva share a little bit more. Kiva, tell us more about the business.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what I have come to believe is that really anything that you're passionate about can be turned into a business. And for many of us, that's parenting. The whole reason that we've made the choice to maybe leave a corporate job or take the financial hit to have one working partner in the home is because we want to be with our kiddos and we want to raise them intentionally and purposefully. And, we read books about parenting, we read blogs about parenting, we tackle our own stuff in the name of really showing up to be the best parent that we can be. And that's very much my story. I worked in sales in the financial services industry and left and started a business called Wise, which was about really helping women to be personally empowered around their financial resources. And I did that, but at the same time I had these 2 little babies and I really wanted to know how to parent them. And so I started an interview series interviewing some of the most intelligent and thought leadershipy people in the parenting space today, and through that process really evolved my own ability as a parent. Well, in that process I interviewed who's now my business partner, Jolette Jai. And Jolette is an incredible parenting coach. She had created a process that literally transformed my ability to relate to my son. And he was a really he was a high-maintenance little guy, let's just say. I'm sure lots of you can relate. And about 2 years ago, we were together at a conference, and off cuff, she mentioned to me that one of her clients, one of her parenting clients, was a life coach, and she had asked Jolette if she would teach her her process. She actually was so impacted by the work and by how this had transformed her family and the results that she wanted to become a parenting coach and use the exact process that Jolette had used with her in her business. Well, as soon as Jolette said this to me, it was like my brain, I don't know if you guys have ever had this experience, but it's like your brain goes like, whoa! And the next week, we put out an email to my community about launching this pilot program to train parenting coaches. And, of course, it's a long story, but here we are now, less than 2 years later, and we have really, really refined this process so that women that come into our community are fully supported to be incredible parenting coaches, to do work that fuels them, that changes the families that they work with lives. My background is in sales. I love teaching women to sell our program. I mean, it's just every time a family says yes to this, it's not only them that are impacted, it's generations of their family to come. It's this work of peaceful parenting being spread throughout the world so that people don't have to spank their children anymore or isolate them or try and use imposed consequences to manipulate their behavior. They actually have a whole new treasure chest of tools to work with so that they can raise really empowered, confident, happy, thriving children. And Jolette and I say we're like peanut butter and chocolate. Like, she had this amazing process. I love teaching sales and marketing. You put those two things together, and we have created this incredibly thriving community of women that support each other, that help each other in their businesses, and I think are really changing the world.
That is so amazing, and I love. This is such a great example, the two of you, of a business partnership. I'm always going on about the importance of partnering, but it's the trickiest thing as well. And I've used Kelly and Crystal lots of times as a great example of them they're a fantastic partnership. They have their businesses separate, but they work together to help each other. And I love the way you said you found this situation where you're like peanut butter and chocolate. And you've brought together the two different sides of this business. And then you guys are totally helping other women. It's phenomenal. And I love that your business is based on these new parenting techniques and tools. I think lots of us these days, we're dealing with a lot of extra needs with our kids, with the ADD kind of situations. And I know that in our family line, we've got in our gene pool lots of ADD stuff to pass on, that we've passed on to our beautiful children, extra struggles and challenges, but extra benefits as well of being ADD. But there's lots of these different things where we need some new tools, we need some new ideas on how to relate to our kids. So I love that you've got both there.
Yeah, I mean, I think, lots of us are realizing that the old way, the way that we were parented, in many, it works, right? Punishments and consequences work. They mostly get the desired behavior in the moment that we want. The problem is that they have a dramatic impact on focus, on self-confidence, on the creation of limiting beliefs that we now as 35 and 40-year-olds are having to go back and say, you know what, I am worthy, I can do this, I can, we want to raise kids that hopefully aren't going to need to do that when they're our age. So it really is about I don't want to get too much into our program because that's not the content today, but so much of the work is about going back and addressing the way that we were parented so that we can let that go and really show up clean and clear and intentional with how we want to be. And I can just say from personal experience and from having heard the stories of now hundreds of clients that have gone through this process, when we change, our kids change. So people come to us and they're like, oh, my kid's bad, my kid's doing this, my kid has ADD. And we just, and then when we work with the parent, miraculously, things with the child change because they're little mirrors. They actually have mirror neurons in their brains that are responding to our energy, to our emotional experience. And if we're reactive, they're reactive.
Oh, exactly. I always think, the way dogs, like when you're training a dog, they always say, like, the dog is your sort of the behavior and trainability kind of your dog is very reflective of the family life. And so I always think of, and it's so obvious, and we know that, and we say it definitely with our children as well.
Yeah.
But we had a border collie growing up when he was so clever and such a brilliant dog, but we had a chaotic family, and and so the poor dog, he just
he's like, yeah.
He just didn't really have much of a chance being part of this chaotic sort of family. But that's a great example of how as parents and how as family members our kids will mirror our issues. So that is excellent. Now, one of the things I want to talk about here is about finding and building a business support system, and that's one of the great things that's inherent in a business like yours where you are working as a team and you train a group and then they sort of have each other there. Yeah. And we'll talk a bit more about that. But Kelly, let's bring Kelly into the conversation here a little bit. Let's talk a bit about Kelly has, and I'm always bringing up the example that Kelly and Crystal have created, but Kelly, you also have found other ways to work with other bloggers to build up an internal sort of support system. You've mentioned before about with your Twitter parties, you bring on 10 different people and different things. Can you share a little bit about your ideas on how we need to create support systems in our businesses, and that will look different in all kinds of different businesses? Maybe you could share some ideas, Kelly, about that.
Yeah, so Crystal and I, in our weekly Learn to Blog series on Google+, we always talk about our tribe. And when we say that, we mean, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes this whole tribe that's in this village to raise your blog. You can't just do it on your own. You're only going to get so far. You're only going to get so much out of your kid, your dog, your blog, whatever, on your own. So you do need the people that are in the same boat as you, all helping. I just threw like 9 million cliches in that one sentence, didn't I? Good gosh. So seriously, we have our tribe, and it's a very close-knit tribe. We have some others that are larger, but we help each other daily. We're there for each other. We help each other. We answer questions. If I have a question, I know I can go straight to them, and if they don't know the answer, they will find the answer. It's best friends. It's like your clique in high school. That's it. That's you. I don't know how to explain it. I mean, we're just there.
Exactly. And no, it is so important. And that's one of the things that when we work at home, we're really at a big risk for isolation and to feel, and we miss that opportunity to have energy, to get energy off of our peers and off of our support groups. And I love the way Kelly's example of how she is physically separate from all of those people. Like, I don't think, Kelly, you don't live close to any of those people, like really close, do you?
I don't live close to anybody. I live close to the oil rig out in the Gulf, and that's about it.
Exactly. And so it's really important to not get caught up on the fact that you are physically isolated from people, but to find a support and build a support system that's remote. And these days with technology, with Hangouts, with all kinds of, I mean, we're face-to-face without being face-to-face. So that's just fantastic. And like I said, when I was first in direct sales, I was with a company called Melaleuca. Many of you might have known Melaleuca. And there are so many things that I learned. I'm so grateful for my experience in direct sales. I learned a lot. And one of the things that I really loved was that team building and a lot of working together. And the support system that's brought to you when you come into a business that already has a plan. It's like the franchise type of business. If you go and open a business that's a franchise, say you're going to open a I don't know, like a Pizza Hut or something that's a franchise. Franchising is such an amazing business strategy that came about. And with McDonald's, I mean, they were like one of the first major players, I think, in that, where they created this business process that was just laid out step by step, exactly what to do. If you purchased a McDonald's franchise, you are going to succeed because you're going to follow step by step through what they have to do. And that is so, so powerful. As lots of times is when we start up our own business, we're lone rangers out there and trying to figure out everything, and we're rebuilding and creating everything from scratch ourselves. And so one of the nice things with a lot of these companies in the direct sales space is that you do have a template to follow. So the business is duplicatable. There's lots of other things that lots of us don't like about direct sales, or particularly network marketing or MLM kind of things. So there's some good things, and then there's things that people don't want. So, and obviously if you're going to go and buy a franchise, you're going to spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So most of us aren't going to go and buy a McDonald's franchise, despite the fact we might not love McDonald's either. Anyway, so yeah, I don't like McDonald's stuff. Anyway,
I like McDonald's.
You like McDonald's? Yeah.
Oh, have you seen that video about the burgers?
Oh my God, they have the best bacon ranch salad ever. I'm just saying. I am all about some golden arches because my kids will eat anything and they will stay quiet for like 20 minutes.
Especially the ones at the playgrounds, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, but the thing is, so whether you like it or not, whether you like McDonald's or not personally, they are brilliant business people. They are brilliant. They have done a lot of things that many moms don't like, or many moms do like. Yeah. But the key there is the induplicatable process. And that is so powerful. Like, it is used, duplicatable processes are used in businesses as big as McDonald's and as small as, a tiny little network marketing kind of business. So, Kiva, you have that type of duplicatable business kind of built in, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of, I wish that we could say that we were smart enough that we knew exactly what we were doing when we started this. And the truth is we didn't. We simply followed our hearts and had, this brilliant, like that woo that I talked about. But now, 2 years in and seeing coaches out, charging premium rates for their services and having incredible impact with families in, Portland, Oregon, and Houston, Texas, and Washington, D.C., and now in Africa and Ireland, and they're doing it. And what's great is now we know what works. Like, I know how to teach you how to sell to parents that are struggling. We know that the need is there. We know what they'll pay. We know the process to get you talking to them. That's on the business side. And then on the work side, Jolette's process is so systematic, step by step, 1, 2, 3, 4, through 10. There's 10 steps in the process that you literally have everything that you need. Now, yes, your own heart, your own intuition, your own empathy come into play, for sure, but you don't have to worry that you're going to be putting yourself out there and not having results with people. You know, and I think that's the thing that holds a lot of women back. We do have, you know, mindset issues around, are we good enough? Can I charge this much? Will this work? Are my clients going to be satisfied with the results? And it's so awesome to see, you know, that yes, all of that is here for you. And as you mentioned, you don't have to go it alone. You know, I think so many women do, you know, try and figure this all out. And I remember when I first started thinking, like, I've got to find someone who's done this already. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I don't want to have to, like, throw spaghetti at the wall and see what's going to work. So it's been such an unknown surprise for us how cohesive this tribe has become and how close they are and the friendships that have been created. We're actually all gathering together in September for the first time in person in Los Angeles. So it's really, yeah, a tribe, a community that's not going anywhere, and that just tickles my heart. I love it.
Well, that's so excellent because you guys, because everyone's geographically separate, they're not competitors in that same sense because you're coaching usually within your physical space. Do most of the coaches work with people locally, not online, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mix. So I really recommend that you start locally. It's just so much easier to get clients who already know, you know, who have that sense of know, like, and trust with you. So we get you out doing workshops in schools, yoga studios, chiropractic offices, places where your ideal client is already going to be. Now, you know, pretty quickly, people will start to migrate to online because of leverage. You know, so once we sort of figure out what's your ideal client roster look like, how many families do you want to be working with one-on-one, then, you know, by default, you need to move to a group program, and we'll start to work online as sort of the phase 2 of your business.
Excellent. Well, that is so great. We've lost Kelly.
I know,
Kelly's back.
Sorry. The dog is going crazy. I don't even know what he's barking at. But
oh, that's so funny.
And I didn't want y'all to see me in my pajamas running.
Yelling at your dog.
Oh, that's so funny. No problem. No problem. Well, I was just glad it wasn't a technical thing. Yeah, no, that's so great that you guys are going to have a meetup in person. That's excellent.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what coaching is in general, because coaching, so you guys are specifically talking about parenting coaching, but coaching is a great business in general for many people, and women and mothers included. I remember, it's funny because the life coaching business, you know, really took off a bunch of years ago. I admit that it was, how many years ago? 20, I'm 40 now, so like 20 years ago or something like that. Before life coaching really had it was just starting, okay, in any sort of known space. And I remember this friend of mine, or not a friend, like she was a bit older, okay, than I was, and she was telling me that she'd become a life coach. And I admit, I was like, what? Like, what? A life coach? No, what kind of crazy thing is that? And I admit, my first instinct was, huh? And then I watched as her business, but then as the whole industry of life coaches just took off. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about what coaching is in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that I define coaching is being someone who sees the best potential and possibility for someone, who helps them clearly articulate what they want to achieve in life in any number of categories. So it could be general life, career, health, parenting, nutrition, and holds them accountable to achieving those goals. And so I think that the reason that coaching is proliferating is, you know, the old model is, you know, sort of the therapy model or the social work model where something's wrong and you've got to look back and analyze it and fix it. And people stay in therapy for years and years, right, resolving their stuff. Coaching is much more forward thinking. So we're saying, where are you today? Where do you want to be? And what do we need to do step by step to get there? It's like having a Sherpa that guides you up the Himalayas. So you're at the bottom, you see the top, but you have no idea how to get there. Well, those guides know, exactly what path to take. And that's what a good coach does for someone. It's what our coaches do for families. I'm screaming at my kids. I don't like the way they're behaving. They don't listen to me. I can't get my child to get out the door in time. Okay, we're going to get you step by step there.
I love that. I love that. And, it's interesting. Coaches, we're all familiar with the concept of coaching in sports.
Yes.
And we all accept that's a needed, necessary thing. Obviously, a team needs a coach. If you're an athlete, you need a coach. But our lives, what's more important than our lives?
Right.
In all these key important areas in our lives, like you said, career, family, nutrition. Yeah. These are huge things. We only get one shot.
Yeah.
Well, we only get one shot at this.
How many times
do we not all have coaches?
How many times have you bought like a diet book or a money book, and you buy the book and you read it, and maybe for a week or two you improve your behavior, but habit's a powerful thing and you go right back. And I think that people have lasting results in these different areas of lives. They need support. They need accountability. They need to have invested, quite frankly, significantly in their desire for change. And
I love that word that you pointed out there, invested. And that's an interesting thing, because as women and mothers, we undervalue our services, but we undervalue the importance of any aspect of our own lives too. So it's like we won't want to invest in our health because we have to pay for our kids' classes, our kids this, our kids' coaches. But wait, whoa! Invest in your own coaching that you need, that you need a coach in different areas.
Yeah, I mean, my gosh, it's I really think investing in ourselves, investing in our intellectual growth, our physical growth, our spiritual growth, whatever you want in life, it's really the best gift we can give to our kids. Yeah, go ahead.
Kiva, I have a question. How many kids do you have, and how old are they?
I have 2. They are 18 months apart, 7 and 8.5 years old.
I mean, I just, when if you hire a coach or you hire, I don't know, a business consultant, you want their track record. You want to know that what they have to do is, so I was just curious, what is your track record?
Yeah, I don't actually have children, no.
No, so how do you prove that what you are offering is doing it? I mean, I know with my blog, in order for me to get, an advertiser, I have to prove this is what I can do. These are my case studies. So I was just curious about how that works with parent coaching.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is, so there's sort of 2 aspects of the question that you're asking me. There's the business aspect of, like, why would someone come to do this? What's the proof that this works? And as a business model, right? And then there's the, when parents come, how do they know that this is going to have results with their family? Am I understanding your question correctly? Yeah. So I'll start with the parenting question, because I think that's something that applies to all of us. And so many parents are just at the end of their rope. They've tried everything. They've tried behavior modification tools. They have tried, maybe some kids have even been put on medication for ADD and ADHD. And they know that something has to change that is more lasting and permanent than what they've tried thus far. And so what happens is when they get into the opportunity to work with one of our coaches, that is clearly outlined. They've really had an opportunity, maybe for the first time, to really examine what's going on and to make the choice to do something differently. Now, obviously, we can put all the client testimonials in the world, but it's really about that parent in that moment making the decision to do something different and to do the work on themselves, to buy into this idea that when they shift themselves, everything with the child is going to change. So that's not a great answer. It's sort of like, how do I guarantee that something that I have no control over will change? What I've seen time and time again is if you do the work and if you have the support, things change in miraculous ways.
Right.
I love hearing those stories.
I guess really what it goes back to is like Susan and I were talking about earlier, or what Susan was really talking about earlier, is you take something you're good at. As moms, we take something we're good at, photography, writing, finances, and we turned it into a business.
Yeah.
So with your kids being 7 and 8,
yeah,
how do you know that you're good at parenting enough to turn it into a business?
Oh my gosh, I get it. I think the biggest thing that I would tell you is that we're all thriving. I am a super happy mom. I love having my business. And the coolest thing for me, Kelly, is that my kids are really invested in what I do. I'll tell you a quick story. We were on vacation, and there was a mom walking ahead of us with about a 3 or 4-year-old little girl. And she was having a total meltdown, this child. And the mother was yelling at her, saying, if you don't stop crying right now, I'm going to leave you here. And my little son, who was 7 at the time, tugged on my sleeve. And he said, Mommy, you need to go help that woman. You need to teach her that is only going to make her daughter cry more. And she doesn't know about empathy yet. And you need to go teach her about being empathy to her little girl. And I just thought, oh my gosh, like this work is having that a 7-year-old would notice that and have concern and want me to go help because he's so invested in what I do. To me, that is the biggest reward. And then raising kids who have an entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, we live on a farm. My son now has a little route that he goes and sells eggs, and he loves earning money, and he has ownership over the things that he buys because I took this risk of starting my own business.
That is excellent. And I think, yeah, I love this question and this whole concept that Kelly's brought up, because I think as women, we do feel like we have to be perfect first. And I think it's not necessarily true. I think so if a woman's watching this and thinks, well, I can't be a parenting coach yet because my kids, I'm still in the thick of it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have a 17 and 18-year-old perfect human beings to prove that my whole process worked. You know, you don't actually have to have that, because I think so. As if I were purchasing for these kind of services, coaching services, and I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, and if I was going to get a coach, I would want them to have kids that are at least sort of my age, that have been through some of this and are in kind of whatever, but they don't necessarily have to have graduated college and are on their way to be president of the United States, you know, to prove that it worked.
Yeah.
You know, if you've gotten to the point where you are having a happy, thriving household, where your kids might be only 6 years old, they might be 11 years old, they might be 14. It doesn't sort of matter if you've managed to conquer and put a lot of these skills to use at the stage that they're at. I think that there is enough proof. It's not necessarily the duration of years that you've had success with, but that you've had success at some level. You're about to say something, Kelly?
No, you know me. I'm just very statistical.
Yes, Kelly is a numbers. Kelly is a numbers woman.
I'm a numbers person. If you tell me you are going to help me grow my Twitter following and you have 500 Twitter followers, I am not hiring you.
Well, and Susan, you bring up such a great point, because Gillette and I say, like, let's be clear, neither of us are perfect parents. Like, God help us if we were. What does that even mean, to be a perfect parent? I would not sit here and tell you that I don't ever yell at my kids. Like, I do. They sometimes, man, like, they're bickering and it's just too much, and I'm trying to take a client call, and, you know, things happen. The thing is that it's okay. You know, we have empathy towards ourselves in those moments. We say to our clients and to our coaches, like, it's okay. Hate your kids sometimes. They're challenging. Like, this does not actually make you a bad person. It makes you normal. Mm-hmm. And so it's really about taking any of that pressure off of being perfect and really learning how to be real. Because when your kids see you being real and saying, like, oh, man, I did not like when I just yelled at you. How'd that make you feel? What was that like? Then they have permission to not be perfect either, and we can all just be human beings.
I like that. There's a lot of power in admitting and being real and sort of accepting that we are all real, that we are making mistakes. And like I said, with the coaching thing, I often, because the model that I can understand is in the professional space, I mean in the sports space. And if you think of it, a basketball coach wasn't necessarily a perfect basketball player at all times. Right. I mean, and there's all sorts of different levels, right? There's a coach that's coaching at the Olympics, and there's a coach that's coaching at the different levels, and they each can bring value. They each can charge different rates. Do you know what I mean? So, the expert parenting coach that may have all these, years of proven expertise with how many clients, perhaps their rate is higher. Perhaps they're charging more. You can't get one-on-one time with them anymore. That's an important model, and that's what happens in all sorts of consulting businesses and coaching businesses. As a consultant, this brings in the example of consulting businesses as well. Often when we think of business coaches, they often are sort of called consultants. There's sort of similarities there. But if you're a business consultant, or if you're consulting in the social media space, it's the same kind of thing. You'll be at some level. So say you want to consult in the social media space, because as many of us online, that's what we're good at. A lot of us have a lot of experience in social media. If you want to consult in the social media space, like Kelly said, you can't have 500 Twitter followers and say you're going to consult on how to build Twitter followers, because that would be silly, right? Yeah. That would be silly. But at the same time, you don't have to have 500,000, right? Someone's going to be at different levels, and they're going to charge different rates, and they're going to have different accessibility for different client levels, right? So, I mean, that's a similar thing. Wouldn't you say? A beginner coach might, you may be able to get time with them, right, and afford them, and then a coach that's obviously trying to get you or your partner to be somebody's coach, they're not going to be able to get you individually. You're going to be
to coach with Jolette privately now, I think is upwards of $5,000. It's crazy. She's in Los Angeles. Things are different there, I guess. But the thing that I think gives our coaches confidence is the system. Yes. It's not that they have some magic secret sauce. It's that they have a system to rely on that has been used now with hundreds and hundreds of families all over the world and had impact. And then what I love is, they'll go out, and we always recommend that they start with just a pro bono client, someone to just work with, to build confidence. And when they see what happens with that person, man, they are ready. Like, they are just like, all right, I've got to go work with people because it's so powerful.
I love that example. We're starting with a pro bono client, a pro bono client in all kinds of consulting spaces or coaching spaces is a great business strategy, because you build up your experience, your confidence, and you get some proven experience. Like Kelly said, you're going to want to have experience, so you'll be able to say to your next client, I've been working with so-and-so, they've had these successes. And a great thing, like Kelly had brought up there, you're not just coaching from your parenting of those two children. Like, that's not the extent of your experience. You're not like, I've done such a great job with my two kids. I'm going to teach you how to create kids.
Model mother. That would be so popular at the bus stop, don't you think?
Oh, that would. Yes, exactly. So, and so for anyone that's thinking of being a parenting coach, yeah, exactly. It's not like, I've done it, I've got the perfect kids, I've got the perfect family. It's not that at all. It's like, I've got a system that's been proven and has all kinds of skills and tools and everything that's way bigger than me, way bigger than my kids.
Yeah, it's deep. It's not, this isn't some like very surface level stuff. It's really giving people the opportunity to be heard and felt and expressed in a way that a lot of people just haven't. And it's not, frankly, about the kids at all. It's about the parents.
Exactly.
So it takes that edge off, I think.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, Susan. And is doing some of that work, getting some of the case studies, like Kiva says, as our watchers, our readers that are wanting to know how they can grow their business, how they can get bigger and better and more famous and make more money and all the stuff. That's the key. You've got to have you have to be able to answer the tough questions. Like Kiva was just able to say, yes, I know my kids are only 8, but I've done all of this. I've worked with all of these people, and this is how well it's worked out. So to our readers and our watchers, you have to be able to do that. When that person says, but why should I choose you over the other 300 people that sent me emails right now? Why? Why should it be you? You have to be able to do that. You have to have the proof. You have, as Crystal always says, the proof is in the pudding, and you've got to have it. Where's your pudding?
Yeah, no, it's very true. It's very true. And so in our notes here, I had said that we're going to talk about some of the key success factors when starting your own business. And I think having case studies and having a model, a business model, is a huge, huge success factor. And one of the great things about coming into a business opportunity that is set out for you, whether it's a coaching program like this, or whether you're signing up for a mentoring program that's going to teach you a certain type of business, is that work of the business model has been done for you. And that is the toughest part often of creating a business, is coming up with your business model, wouldn't you say? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, there's so much information out there about different models, different ways to go, whether it's blogging, coaching, what niche are you going to serve? What's your price point going to be? What's your marketing strategy? Are you going to be online? Are you going to be offline? And it can, quite frankly, be very overwhelming. And so, from my perspective, for our coaches, I want them to have 3 things. I want them to have complete confidence in the system, that they know that if they follow these steps with their clients, they're going to have amazing results. Number 2, I need them to know where to go find people to talk to. So you have to be willing to put yourself out there. I always say, if Gillette teaches you to be the best parenting coach in the whole world, but you don't go talk to anybody, that's a useless transfer of information. Exactly. So we have to really set you up so that you'll be ready to go talk to parenting groups and go talk to the moms that are, hanging out on the playground, and not have any sort of ugh about that. So we do a lot of work on that. And then the third thing that I need to know that you have is the power to sell in a really authentic and heart-centered way. One of our core values in our company is non-pursuit. So I love teaching women to sell in a way that feels really good to them, that they're being of service whether or not that person chooses to move forward. And once those 3 things are in place, man, you're off to the races. I love one of our coaches just called me. She goes, Kiva, I just decided to up my rates by $1,000, and I sold my first one. And it was like, yeah, it's just exciting. Because with the ability to charge premium rates for your services, you have more flexibility. You can choose to just have 3 clients at a time and take the summers off and do something that's really fulfilling to your life and to you as an intellectual human being.
That's so valuable, and definitely having that training is so key. And I think I would list getting training and following proven models as definite key success factors. Whatever business you're starting, you need to invest in training. When my mom and myself and Janice, our first business after the direct sales that brought us, our network, our Melaleuca business brought us online as we started building our business online. Then we joined a mentoring program in the e-commerce space, okay, and we created e-commerce stores. We could not have done anything that we have done and succeeded if we had not joined that mentoring group. So we joined a mentoring group where we got specific training skills, we met key people, we learned from people, and we learned how to put our business model and our plans in place. So training and a business model and finding a tribe and community, those are major success factors. So let's quickly hit on some common business startup mistakes to avoid. I mean, I think lots of ways they're just the opposites of those. You know, oftentimes, right? Mistakes to avoid. I mean, do you want to quickly, Kelly, maybe here, we've let Kelly be too quiet. We have to put Kelly on the spot. Kelly.
Sorry.
No, let's quickly, we've only got 5 minutes left here. Tell us, do you have any ideas about business mistakes to avoid when you're starting up a business, common mistakes?
Well, it depends on the business. I don't know. That's a hard one. That's a big net there, Susan.
It is. It's a big net. So toss out in the, if you're talking about the blogging space and the maybe social media consulting space, what do you think are some mistakes you'd want to avoid?
Not researching your topic. That's a big one. You need to make sure that somebody else isn't already doing it. Susan, you and I have talked about that in past Work at Home Mom strategy hours. And if you have this great idea for this blog name, make sure it's not already done. Don't go out and write, FIVE, minutes for mom. You will never rank for 5 minutes for mom. It will not happen.
It's so true. You don't want to just go on GoDaddy, find some version of it, and go, oh, wait, I can do it with this name. If that is taken at any level, if that branding is gone, don't go there. Definitely. Researching is huge. Researching, if you're in the blogging space, all kinds of keyword research. If you're in the e-commerce space, if you're creating an e-commerce store, yes, definitely you start with keyword research. You always start with keyword research, and you have to measure your competition. So that's definitely, and even, so Kiva, what would you say? How would that apply some business mistakes to avoid for you?
In my world, so in the coaching world, the sort of coach or speaker trainer world that I've grown up in the last few years, the biggest mistake that I see people making is starting a business based on their personal experience. So like not going to potential clients and finding out what their problems are, what they need help with, but saying like, I had this transformational thing, so now I'm going to go help people, find their purpose, or, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nobody wakes up in the morning saying, I think I need someone to help me find my purpose today. I'm going to go Google that. You have to have a product or service that solves a real problem that people are willing to pay for. And if you don't have that, I don't care how passionate you are, how motivated, and that God has come from above and told you how to do this thing, it doesn't work.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Every business solves a problem. You have to find a problem that needs to be solved.
Yes.
That is the bottom line. And if there isn't a problem that needs to be solved, don't start a business.
Nobody's going to pay you.
Yeah, exactly. You need to find a problem to solve because someone needs to value the solution. So in the blogging and social media space, there's all kinds of problems that if you're writing content, you're finding that like Crystal and her meal planning, she's solving the problem that people don't have time. Moms don't have time to cook.
They're overwhelmed.
If you're selling your services for building up Twitter followers, you're solving the problem that people need to be found online in their social space. You're finding a problem to solve, and so definitely that is a key mistake to avoid. To just sort of be I-centric. You have to be you in business. I'm solving your problem, right?
Exactly.
Exactly, and so that definitely applies to all sorts of businesses. All right, any other quick mistakes to avoid?
Yeah, I think you touched on it earlier, but the sort of grandiose, I can figure this out myself, I don't need help, I'm not going to invest in a coach or a mentor, I'm just going to schlag it alone. And the truth is you can, but how much time and effort and money are you going to waste by not simply going and following the steps of someone that's done what you want to do? And I would say if there's not someone who's done what you want to do, probably it's because it's not a good business model. I mean, at this point, it's out there, so go find the person who's doing it, pay what you need to pay, and you will jumpstart your success so much faster than being like I admit I was at the beginning, stubborn and a little bit egotistical that I could figure this out, and it took me longer than it should have to really get rolling.
Well, that's so true, and like I said, I got a lot of the information that I needed from joining in a mentoring group in the beginning. Had I not done that, I don't know if I would have ever found my way to where I am now, or how long it would have taken me to. And like you said, every business, pretty much most things are already out there at some level. So learn from what is out there and then make things better. Right. But definitely capitalize on what everyone else has learned. Wouldn't you agree, Kelly?
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Sorry, I had to keep turning away. I'm such a good mom. I'm like the perfect mom. My 13-year-old came in and wanted to know if it was all right if he went ahead and cut grass.
Oh, well, you are a perfect mom.
Go ahead and cut the grass. That's
I'm like, you have to wait
awesome.
until we're done, and then you are totally able to cut grass.
Oh, that's fantastic. All righty. Well, Kelly, you should just be a parenting coach right there, because clearly you have done it. You.
I don't know what got into him. He's never done that before.
Oh, that's so excellent. I love that. Alrighty, well, we have come up on an hour now, so we will end this off, but I am just so thankful, Kiva, that you've joined us. Now, as I said before, we are super impressed at 5 Minutes for Mom with this Jai Institute of Parenting. Janice and I ourselves will not be becoming parenting coaches, as it's not really our forte. We love our children, and we love learning other parenting skills. Don't look for us to be parenting coaches. Okay, but we do think it's a fabulous business opportunity. So we are affiliating ourselves with your site, and we're going to be helping raise awareness of the program and talking about your business opportunity. So to make it simple, you can just go to 5minutesformom.com/Jai, J-A-I, and you'll find a link over there. It is an affiliate link, but just 5minutesformom.com/Jai. Jai, and that's how you pronounce it, right? Jai.
It is. Jai means courage, heart, and victory in Swahili.
Courage, heart, and victory. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so 5minutesformom.com/Jai, J-A-I, to find out more about that. And join us in 2 weeks from now with when Kelly and I will be back with a whole nother WOM, Work at Home Mom, strategy hour for you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Bye now.